What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Daddy
Daughter
Dance. This is Toby Walsh. I'm a top parenting blogger, but more importantly, the young lady that sits to my right in the studio is my lovely, talented, and beautiful daughter, Viviana. Say hi to the people, Vivi.
Hey guys.
So, Vivi and I are back in the studio, back at it, working hard, and Vivi is really curious about a topic we're going to talk about. So I'm really curious as a dad, how to help her understand this stuff. So, Vivi, take it away. What do you want to talk about today?
What we're going to be talking about today is how apps are created. Basically all about apps.
Apps. So, I'm going to be the old man in the room and make sure everybody knows what an app is, okay? Because there might be some grandparents that are like, what's an app? I don't know an app, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not anymore, really. But, so mobile apps are basically buttons. For the most simplistic version are buttons that we hit on our phones to do certain things, right?
Yeah.
So a mobile app that everybody's familiar with is Facebook or other things like that. Yeah. So mobile apps, Vivi was interested in. She actually turned to me. I kind of said, hey, Vivi, let's turn the podcast into something that helps kids make sense of things that they're interested in, right? Mm-hmm. And so you like to grab my phone and get on apps. And so you said, hey, how do apps work? So I thought that was a pretty cool topic. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was I told Vivi, hey, research, apps, research things about apps, your favorite apps, and then we'll sort of get creative on our own and talk about what apps we might make if we had the chance. Okay, so take it away, Vivi. What did you learn?
I learned...
So first, when kids like you, so Vivi, what grade are you in? Oh my gosh. It's been a long summer. So Vivi's in 5th grade, you're 10. 10, yeah, she's 10. Her experience with what an app is far different than what I think my experience is. I'm a 41-year-old dad of 5 kids, so I use different apps for different things. So Vivi, if I said, what's an app, Vivi, I don't know what you're talking about. What would you say?
An app is like, if you have like in electronics, there's like games. An app can be a game or something you can do on an electronics.
So what's interesting about the experience you have with apps, Vivi, is I think in your brothers and sister, when you think of apps, you think more of like games.
Yeah.
Like what?
I mean, Color Road, Helix Jump, Subway Surfer, I don't know.
Color Road? I've never heard of that one before. So a kid's experience...
It's on your phone.
Is of course. But a kid's experience with an app and what it does is different than parents. Do you know why that would be? Like, what do parents use apps for? Do we play video games and Color Road? And
no.
What do we use
Mostly
it for?
Parents use it for Facebook, social media.
So social media.
And
so
text people, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's an app, kind of. So let's think about this. So an app really is, so I'm not a computer guy, but my read on an app is basically a way to house software at the click of your fingertip in a phone. That's really what an app is, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a bunch of software written on a computer that ends up in a place on your phone that you can access it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a game, whether it's stuff, you know what I use apps for? I use apps because if they're easier, like banking. Like, do you know that I do banking?
Yeah.
You can do banking apps.
Work,
yeah. There's apps for work. There's apps for chat. There's apps for ordering Amazon products.
For stuff you can watch.
Yeah. So, do you know, so Vivi's grown up in an age where, have you always known about apps? I mean, really, you've always known about apps. Okay. So, let me blow your mind real quick. Take you back to the time where there may not have been apps, right? So I tried to look up the history of apps because I thought this would be cool to you, right? You think it's cool? So basically, when you think about an app, they used to have these big phones, Vivi, like the first cell phones they had were called like PDAs, which is like personal, I don't know, basically a personal phone.
Yeah.
That didn't even really make calls, or like do you know how Apple used to have the thing that used to just play music?
Yeah.
What was it? I forget. iPod.
Yeah.
So it just played music. It didn't do any, like, you couldn't call your grandma or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was always these contraptions that did almost what a phone did. What people envisioned back in, so Steve Jobs was one of the founders of Apple, and what he envisioned was a place where people could use electronics to make life easier.
Yeah.
So that was way back in like the 80s. So like when I was your age, he was conceiving of these ideas. But really, the history of apps that I could find basically started with, there was games that came out on these PDAs, like Snake, like these really primitive looking games, and they came out in like the mid 90s, so like when I was in high school. And then what that delved into is, hey, I like to play these games on this little device. Is there a place where I can play more of these games, or different games, or even make purchases, or do anything I wanted to? So really, all the research I saw basically said that in June in 2007, were you born yet? Yeah, that's when you were born, right?
Not 2000.
Oh, you were 09. You're June 09.
Yeah.
So 2 years before you were born, the first iPhone was released. You know, iPhone?
Yeah.
Right? And so with that, basically, that was kind of opening the door for what was going to be known as apps. And when it first came out, so the Apple iStore, right, is the place where you go if you have an Apple phone to get apps. When it first came out, it only had like 20 or 50 apps, something like that, right? So you can only pick between a certain ones. Now there's 20,000 going a day, they say. 20,000 a day, right? Crazy.
And even sometimes even more than that, depends.
Yeah, and so for me still, I'm kind of late to technology always, right? So my first experience with the apps was something I think you'll be familiar with, the game Angry Birds.
Yeah.
And so a part of the history of apps is really Angry Birds was the first large-scale game to sort of take it over the top, and just everybody had Angry Birds. Everybody's playing Angry Birds. Not only did they have Angry Birds on their phones, through the app stores, through Google Play, whoever, they also had Angry Birds on their computer. There was a Nintendo game. There was
it still is.
There's a movie, for God's sake,
We still
right?
do have Angry Birds.
Yeah, and in fact, I thought of it when we actually went to a movie 2 days ago, and there was an Angry Birds 2. Is it 2 or 3? The second Angry Birds movie is coming out in the theaters in the fall, and that was one of the ones your mom actually was like, "Yeah, it looks good."
It does look good.
It does look pretty funny.
We saw one; it was funny.
Yeah, but just think about the evolution of apps, right? So just breaking it all down without getting too crazy and nerdy. So Apple comes out with this way to access information and put software on your phone. Now it's exploding because people love it for games, because Angry Birds was the greatest, and people figured out, hell, if Angry Birds is the greatest, there's other games that would be pretty cool, right? So anyways, that's where it all started. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And to think that today 20,000 apps are going on the Apple iStore or Google Play area every day. It's wild, right?
There's like a million apps probably.
Okay. So, do you know? So, the reason. So, do you know the? So now that we know that apps are here to stay, or at least for now, and are coming out like crazy, do you know the most popular apps?
I researched that, and it would probably be like Snapchat, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger. That's what I saw.
Okay, that's probably right. So
The top four.
So did you know? So there's a difference between, although the app names are the same, apps, the way you get apps depends on if you have an Apple product, right?
Yeah.
Or an Android product
Like
at this time.
If you have an iPhone, you have App Store. If you have like any other phone, you have Google Play.
Right. So when you research this stuff, what becomes really clear to me, at least, is I wonder if in the future there's got to be a point at which both of those come together, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter who you're on or what system you're running, that it all is the same.
It's basically the same. Yeah.
Because I'm sure what happens behind the scenes is there's people that, let's say it's Facebook, right? So Facebook probably has somebody that writes the code that works for iPhones.
Yeah.
And now writes the code that works for Samsungs, right? So eventually, I imagine that's going to go away and there'll be one.
Yeah.
Think? So that's pretty cool. So most popular apps. So how that's measured is worldwide downloads. So let me just read off the top few to you. A lot of them are what you mentioned. Do you know WhatsApp?
Yeah. Some of my friends have it.
Do you know what's it do?
WhatsApp is like
I know what it does.
you can text. No, it's call.
So let's just
I
go
don't know.
here. Let's go. Vivi's looking at my computer screen on my left, but let's go top 5, and you tell me. Just say yes, no if you've heard of them. Yeah, just if you've heard of them. Okay. Don't look. Number 5 is Instagram,
I've heard of it.
of course. That's a social media site. Okay, Facebook. You've already mentioned. Obviously, you've heard of that.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
At number 3. I've never heard of what. I
do.
don't think I've ever
I know
heard of
it.
TikTok.
It's really popular.
So I think TikTok is like a lip syncing.
So basically, there's like soundtracks. It's not the whole song. It's basically like a little part of a song, and sometimes there are dances to them. But you have an account, and you pick one, and you lip sync it, and maybe do a dance with it.
And then what do you do?
Post it or
Post it
put
on
to your dress.
TikTok?
Yeah.
So TikTok is like a social media music video.
Yeah.
So that's where, so you have heard of it. So kids your age like
Yeah.
TikTok?
A lot.
I don't think I've ever heard an adult listening to TikTok or
I don't.
doing
Yeah,
TikTok.
it's. I'm pretty sure it's a
Is it-
kid.
Oh, it's a kid thing.
I'm pretty sure. Like most kids do.
Okay. Well, that's number 3
It's
in the
not
world
that
for downloads.
bad.
3 in the world downloads. It's amazing. It's huge. Next one is Messenger, which is a Facebook
Yeah.
product. Do you know what that is?
Facebook Messenger. Yeah.
It's basically email through Facebook,
Yeah.
right? And then WhatsApp.
No.
So,
Well, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
so I know this one because
you use it.
we use it for international business a lot of times for texting.
Yeah.
Because so if you have a normal phone plan and you're overseas, it would cost you a lot of money to send text messages. But
Yeah.
WhatsApp actually is owned by Facebook. Did you know that?
No.
So WhatsApp is a way to get around that somehow. So
Does WhatsApp always have internet or something?
I think so. It must, right? Or it uses Wi-Fi. I mean, I don't know how this works, but I know it does.
Yeah.
But basically, when you're overseas, if you download WhatsApp, it accesses your contacts, and if your contacts also have WhatsApp, those text messages I think are free.
Yeah.
So when we took a trip abroad last year, we were using WhatsApp to communicate not only in country with other family members in country, but back home.
On a cruise?
Yeah, in Africa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Now, you know what I noticed about these top 5 that I thought was curious was, how do you think so these are the biggest ones. How do you think they make money? Like, how do kids think? I mean, they're in existence, right? And they're the
Maybe.
biggest because at the end of the day, they're a business,
I'm
right?
pretty sure how apps make money is, I didn't research it. I didn't even think of that. But I think it's like how many people download the app. So maybe like WhatsApp is the most popular, I'm pretty sure. And if it probably has lots. So
But how do you
Say.
how do you turn all that into like dollars? So let me help you. So you're right. Once they get big
but
like
they are
this,
free though.
so if you know how they get big? You know how they're the companies? Because of advertising.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever been on TikTok, but you've definitely seen me on Facebook, right?
Mhm.
So I can pay Facebook to put an ad that says, listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
And let's say the ad costs $10, and I do that every week.
Yeah.
Then there's, 20,000 podcasts at $10 a week, right? So
Uh-huh.
Facebook makes that money
Oh, yeah.
because it gives you
And
the
then
ability
you
to
can also
advertise.
put it like on different social medias, probably like Instagram maybe.
Yeah, Instagram does the same thing. I don't know if WhatsApp does. I don't think WhatsApp
Maybe.
does. It must. I don't know what the model is to make money on WhatsApp.
Twitter.
Yeah. And think about, so then let's shift to non-social media like the games, right? So
Yeah.
when you're in a game, it's very easy to click other links, right? That
Yeah.
takes you somewhere else to try to buy
'Cause
stuff. Or,
ads. Yeah, ads. If like it shows you the game and you don't press the X at the corner, it takes you to the app store and it has a thing that says
Yeah.
install.
and they're smart, right? Because they know that if a kid's playing a game, it's hard for them to see where to click, and
Yeah.
they try to click through it, and they just want to get back to the game and
Because
get
the
back to
X's
the
are
road.
really small in the corner. Like
Yeah.
the
So they're-
phone's like that big and the X is like all the way up here.
And then you know what they do is, have you heard of this? So oftentimes they give you the free version of the app when you
Yeah.
start, which has all these pop-up messages that interrupt your game. So what you do is you say, Mom, Dad, can I have 50 cents? And I can upgrade the version and that won't happen as often.
Yeah.
And then can I have 50 cents because that buys me another guy on the game? Now, if there's billions of people playing that game at 50 cents per guy,
That you can make money.
yeah. So, I mean, do you kind of
Some
understand
games-
why there's so many apps
Some games
now?
you can buy stuff like it goes to your parents' credit card or something. 'Cause
Yeah.
Of the phone, it probably takes it to your mom and dad's credit card. So that's how they probably get money too.
Well, and that's a good way to look at our next topic. So let's bring it back home to us, right? So now we understand what apps are. We understand the most popular ones. We understand why they're in existence, because they're businesses that try to make some money, right? I mean, it's just not all for us to have fun. I mean, somebody's behind the scenes actually making money on these things, and a lot of money. So, so when you think about, so I asked Vivi a kind of a fun thing to do. I said, you know, what kind of apps, be creative and try to make your own app. But before we get there, Vivi, think about all the things that you have to think about. I mean, because it's not like you can just put a product out there.
What you wanna like make the game about.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, okay, what does it want to look like, right? Because you have to appeal to people's eyes when they play it, because they want to say, "What's that? That's pretty cool." So like I think of Candy Crush, right? Candy Crush, our Vivi's grandma plays a lot. Was really popular, wildly popular, and it looks like almost like a slot machine, so it just draws your eyes in, right?
Yeah.
So if you think of what it looks like, what it's supposed to do, so not all apps are games.
Like basically like.
No, but not all apps are games. So if you want it to handle, if you want to take orders for a business, or you want it to respond, Vivi has this Genie app where you ask it questions and it comes up with the right answers. So
you think of a character.
Yeah.
And you have to answer questions about it, and it guesses your character.
Yep. The other thing to think about when you're coming out with an app is, should it cost any money?
Yeah.
I think typically the apps are almost
Free.
always free, unless
it's like-
you can charge a premium.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to think if I've ever bought an app. I don't think so.
I don't think I will.
Yeah, we'll see. But and then another thing to think about is, how would you monetize this? Basically, is how could you make money? So typically that's, getting sponsorships or ads or whatever, but as you're coming up with an ad or an app, there's some apps that choose not to do that, and they're giving up a lot of money. So do you want to do that or not? It'd be interesting. And also, like, who would want to advertise if you made an app? Who would want to advertise? Right, if I made a boring accountant app, maybe I go to a bank and say, hey, it'd be good for you to advertise. If you make a princess dress up app, maybe it'd be good for Barbie to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting what you have to think about. And lastly, and probably most importantly to guys like me, think about the security, right? So if your app allows people to hit your parents' credit card with charges, right? There has to be a lot of security around that. Because I don't want my kids being able to do that. So I don't want just free reign on it. So there's got to be a lot of security. Not only that, but like stuff like TikTok. Like, do you ever hear about like weirdos trying to like text message you after?
Random people.
Yeah. I mean, and then Facebook, on Instagram, that stuff can happen. So one of the things that I think that
some of my friends have their account private.
Yeah, one of the things I think that like people like Facebook is struggling with is how to protect young people, even older people, but allow them to basically speak as they want. So there's a fine line between security and locking things down. But I want to make sure you guys are safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, and then lastly, I would say, one of the things when you're thinking about an app is, are there other apps like it out there, and how are you different? So, to come out with angry pigeons is probably not going to work, right?
Yeah.
Because there's already angry birds or angry hogs. To combat the angry pigs that the angry birds try to fight is not going to work, right? So you got to have a unique idea for it to go big. You just can't do it haphazard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, Vivi and I are getting creative here. I'm a blogger, so I'm creative.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? All right. So the assignment was what?
Make our own app.
So we're gonna create our own app, and it doesn't have to be particularly
On
useful.
paper.
Yeah. So there's no other instructions other than if you could create. If somebody asked you to create an app, what would it be? So you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, of course. She's embarrassed.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm not saying the one I created.
Wait, yes, you are.
No, I'm making a different name for it.
Okay, I like the name.
It's
All right.
kind of embarrassing.
Okay, so here I'll go first. How about an app? So I have 5 kids. I want an app that when I can carry my phone. Okay, let me start over. I wanted to make an app that detects my mood when I carry my phone.
Yeah.
You know, like for instance, I had a tough day at work and I walk in and you guys all, hey, dad, I can just hold my phone up and it's blue and that tells you guys, get away from dad. But on Fridays when I've had a good day, maybe get off work a little bit early, roll home, see you guys and I'm having fun, maybe it turns like pink or green and says,
mood app? Mood app?
Yeah, mood app. Plus the other use of this is, check this out. So I'm like, not even in regard to you guys, whether you should approach me or not, but what if I'm just like sitting somewhere and I feel like I'm in a good mood, but
you're not.
But my
Everyone
signals
else.
are telling my phone that it's not. Maybe I can adjust my behavior. It's like, man, I have a frowny face, I guess. I should smile more. You like that idea? I was thinking I'd call it Dad Vibe.
Okay.
All right, that's my app.
Okay.
All right, so Vivi, what's your app?
I changed mine. Sorry. I changed it yesterday.
Okay, let it rip.
It's called Designer Outlet.
Designer Outlet by Viviana Walsh.
So what you do is where you pick anything to design. You search something to design. It gives you a couple pictures of what it is.
Like, are you saying like clothes?
No, anything.
Okay.
Like maybe
like a picture.
A computer screen.
Okay.
Anything. And it might cost money, I don't know. But you get to make like in terms of a white screen, and you have like the picture you chose in a corner, so you can look at it what you want. So it's black and white, like the outline of what you want. So you draw the outline, and you get to design like what color it is, stuff.
Okay.
But it's
so you basically the way I'm hearing it is you just go find something that piques your interest.
Yeah.
You hit like snap or whatever, and it goes to the. Okay.
And if you want to get it or just save it to your pictures, you can save it to your pictures what you do, or you can buy it.
Okay.
That's basically.
I don't mind that idea.
Yeah.
I like that. It's kind of artsy and useful. That's probably the future of art.
I've seen stuff that you can like design clothes and stuff, but I think you can design anything.
Well, you could though. Like if you saw a dress you liked, you could just hit snap or whatever, and it goes to that app, and then you could, make it spaghetti straps or whatever, right?
Yeah. If you don't like how it looks, you can redesign it.
I like it. That's not as bad. Although I do want you to tell me the first one. Come on. Baby's first idea was called Selfie Boat. And the premise was basically you take a selfie and then you choose the. Okay, go ahead.
Take a selfie and you choose. I didn't mean to say boat. Like I was gonna change it. But
I like Selfie Boat.
You can choose you pick a boat and you put your face on a boat. It's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I actually like both of those ideas. I don't think they're bad.
I like the first one.
I think sometimes what we think is maybe a dumb app, like a stupid app, could actually be big. Who knows?
But yeah.
All right. Well, don't limit your imagination by thinking about what's dumb and what's not by people's minds. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming up with the topic today. I think it was a lot of fun to talk about. Mm-hmm. Did you have fun today?
Yeah.
Do you think people learn?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we'll have to figure out what topic we'll do next. But for now, that music means that we're out of time, right? So, thank you for joining.
The daddy.
Daughter.
Dance.
Have a good day, everybody.